Lord. Well, we quote unquote tackled some, it was the first one, more serious things, but um, Lord have mercy. Sometimes it's tough to cross the timeline, and you're like, they literally turn anything into a reality TV show these days. Anyway, that's from the Shade Room. Very fishy. Man says he has been addicted to tuna since he was a young child. This man says he's been addicted to tuna since he was 10 years old. Rather than asking for gifts, candy canes as a child for Christmas, all he wanted was tuna. Now he's speaking on the effects of his addiction has had on his love life. And they kind of asked the question, if your date pulled out a can of tuna to sniff while you were out, what would you do? So let's
To sniff.
let's find out the life and times of a man that's addicted to tuna.
And I don't mind when the juices run all down my chin. I like it all over myself because it makes me feel nice and dirty.
He's always liked fish. When he was little, and most kids during Easter wanted chocolate in their baskets and things like that. He didn't eat the chocolate, so we put tuna, cans of sardines, because he liked that. But I didn't think it would turn into, to where he was smelling it and keeping it and being addicted to tuna.
Some kids.
God,
Bro,
I probably should have gave a heads up. It is kind of potentially disturbing, but we're here now. I gotta get better at that. So yeah,
trigger warning.
Yeah, trigger warning and stuff like that. So yeah, apparently this guy is not just or exclusively the taste that he particularly finds addicting about tuna. It's the smell and everything else that comes with it. Let's find out more.
Before, I'd always want to let a girl know, like, this secret about myself.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, it's okay if
What are you doing? Ooh. What is
Might be a
that?
little bit weird, but yeah, like, it's basically I always keep a can of tuna on me. And,
What? Why?
thing is I actually have an addiction. That's why I wanted to tell you. I hope you don't judge me, but I have an addiction to smelling tuna.
Okay.
The girl should be laughing. Like, it seems like a joke at first.
So it's just smelling, not even to
Yeah,
eat?
actually, I might have been wrong. Oh, before you go over there, Ray. Yeah, I might be wrong. It might be literally more so the smell of it than the taste at all. So yeah, it goes on to say he reveals addiction to his date. Prior to the kind of conversation, he told her that he had not dated anyone since he was 15 years old.
Oh, what?
Jeez. I mean,
So this is the first one?
I mean, when you have an addiction like that, you probably aren't getting many dates. But let's see how this concluded.
Wait a second. Do we have to open that right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we good.
Tuna
We good.
smells really bad. And I just want to let you know, you haven't dated in a while. And you haven't even talked to girls in a while. So I'm just going to be very honest with you that this is probably not something. Please don't eat that.
No,
They're just like,
he was like a skippy.
with this beer, I need something to cleanse my stomach.
When you came in, you smelled a little fishy, but I wasn't going to say anything.
It's TLC. They're pushing it, but
Like I said at the beginning, if it's a somewhat compelling storyline, they'll put it on TV. But although this is probably one of the more extreme cases of pushing the human boundaries, I don't think it's super uncommon. I bet you one out of every 1,000 person has similar traits to this. So I mean, how do we even approach this? What do you think?
He just has to find he's good. He just has to find another tuna addict.
Yeah, so
That's not a healthy
let's
solution.
just find the other tuna addict and the one or several billion people on the earth.
Honestly, that might make it easier.
Yeah, where you put
You got one,
How does
you got one goal.
how does one even approach this? Is the
Reddit.
problem.
That's what you need Tinder for.
If
I don't know.
Put it in your
if you
bio.
put Tinder addict in your profile, you're not gonna get any.
Tuna.
You're not gonna get anyone. You think you're gonna find your? You think you're gonna find
99 out of 100 people are gonna reject you, but you'll find it's gonna be much easier to find that one person.
You guys realize the premise.
I think like 30% people who eat fish eat tuna and enjoy it.
Okay, well, realize this is not just a tuna consumption thing. This is a
yes,
tuna.
But if somebody
he's going to always have tuna on him, smell like tuna.
People put chocolate addict on profile. Like you people put addict after everything these days, and it's not.
Yeah, and most people aren't literally going to show up to the outing or date smelling like
exactly.
Especially
but I'm
if
saying
the thing has a typically offensive odor.
Okay, but he will still get dates.
Like a term, right? What's
okay, fine. I'll grant you that. Yes, they'll get dates, but the one thing about dating, as you know, Jesus Christ.
Kind of getting off topic, but
no, y'all having a blast. Don't let me come in and ruin it. Anything else?
Damn, I searched it up, and the first thing that came up was his brother. So maybe there's not a term for it.
What did you search? Tuna addict?
Tuna addict medical term, and the first thing that came up was the. Wait, is this a different person? There's a New York Post article.
Oh my goodness!
Sure.
I think it's the same person. Yeah, it's him. The way they phrase it, basically, there's a different person with this problem. But sorry, get away.
It sounds like if that's the first thing that comes up when you search it, it just solidifies.
Yeah, he might be alone.
Relatively rare. And I was gonna say before, the problem with the premise is just find another tuna lover. Is the fact that so you roll with this. I'm addicted to this niche thing, so I just find somebody that's addicted to it as well. Yeah, when something's statistically small, the chance of finding them and matching with them is small as well.
That's probably why he's on TLC though. To be honest.
Shoot, that exposure. Yeah,
true.
The person, this person.
Say you don't have the TLC machine behind you. The chances. Okay, so you say you find the other person that likes tuna, but they're actually like a 72-year-old Peruvian woman, and you don't have any semblance of relatability aside for the tuna addiction. It's like these things. It's not going to be just one-to-one. You find somebody that's your age. Your physical size and preference, and they also are addicted to the same niche thing as well.
8 billion people. I don't know. I mean, again, I was mostly joking, by the way.
I know. I'm just clarifying that point because that's applicable to a lot of things that people have these very not to shame anybody strange things that they like or are addicted to, and they think, okay, I'm just gonna find somebody like me. Well, it's not that simple.
Well, addiction is not simple. So.
Yes, I was using it in a more lighter term, but you're right. Anyway, I guess kind of pulling it back to this or us in general. I'll start off with, do you think you could be with somebody that's addicted to a non-harmful vice? So obviously no drugs or alcohol or hopefully nothing physical, something just to the effect of it. They're all going to smell like it and or can be consuming it when they're around you. What do you think, Ace?
Can be tuna. I highly doubt it could be tuna. But I'm sure there's some stuff out there that I would be perfectly fine with. It's just gotta
Skittles.
This is a super subjective thing too. Like it's got to be something that I can deal with. If that's the case, then I'm not gonna care if they're addicted to it per se. I don't think I don't think an addiction to something specific is an indication per se that there's something off with their mentality or anything like that.
Well, I mean, I think the pure definition of addiction means there is something off. And I was going to say, I don't want to push back too early, but do you really not see any issue with the addiction, quote unquote, lifestyle in itself? Even if it's not harmful? Like they're literally going to be devoting time and life to and effort to this thing.
When you say not harmful,
Well, I
if it's
mean, I don't. You might know more than me, but I don't think you're consuming a lot of tuna.
celery, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah, tuna. I guess tuna
or
is not
grapes or
that.
salad or like. I mean,
Yeah, I
we're
guess
kind of focusing on
grapes
food,
is probably
but maybe
yeah.
they have an addiction to like using a certain type of. Maybe they're addicted to Vaseline. They're
But
everywhere
if
they
it's
go.
like,
They're beaming. They're always
oh,
glossy with
okay.
Vaseline. Maybe they're
Yeah,
addicted
that's what
to.
I'm saying. Like you're saying stuff, and my mind is going. That one, yeah, probably be good. This one, maybe there's an issue, but it's all subjective. Like it's just whether or not I think I would be okay with it.
Okay. So you don't have a problem with what addiction could look like. It depends on what the thing is.
Yeah,
Okay.
for me, yeah.
What about you, Ghost? If someone was addicted to a non harmful vice, could you rock with them?
I'm going to say no unless they're making steps to change it because I mean there's some things that on the surface don't seem that bad to be addicted to, but I kind of think like
Maybe they're addicted to
just
reading.
narrowing it down to yeah, even the hell no. Even just downloading what I Jesus Christ, narrowing it down to specific things that I don't have a problem with up front is I'm not underestimating the extremes that people will go to for addiction, even if it's something that's innocuous like Vaseline or I don't know, one of some of the other examples you were mentioning. So unless they're like in therapy or counseling or trying to change that addiction, I'm not gonna roll with it. Like if you're trying to make an effort, then sure. But if you're cool with how you are, no, if it's a serious addiction, I'm not dealing with that.
Got it. So you willing to work with somebody if they're currently working on overcoming it. Gotcha. But if they're like this guy and there doesn't seem any indication that they're stopping anytime soon, you're not rolling. And then what about you, Wes? What do you think? Could you rock with somebody or be with them if they have a non harmful vice?
Um, maybe, but the reason. So, I would kind of be like Ghost in that I would want them to want to overcome it. But the reason is that I understand, and I've always appreciated the fact that I don't feel particularly dependent on any one thing or substance or thing. And I think that's
You have anything
liberating.
in your life that you couldn't live without?
No, it's not necessarily that, but in terms of consumable items like foods or
It can be an
product.
action. Like I said, someone's addicted to reading. I think one that I've heard before is people that are addicted to biting their nails. Um, um,
Uh,
People that are addicted to certain types of colognes.
for those things, okay, so for something consumable, again, I think it's good to be flexible. You may need to be in a place where you can't access the thing or you need to substitute. And for people who can't do it, there's a certain desperation don't that I would hate to see. Like I would not that I would hate to see them succumbing to it or without trying to overcome it. When it comes to other things like you were mentioning, there might be that same desperation if there's a need to divert their time from that thing that they want to continually consume, which again would generate that desperation. But I think in terms of that, you can't, like, if it's an activity, in order to live a productive life, you literally can't. You have to vary your activities. And so as long as they're able to set goals and accomplish them and it's not inhibiting that, it's probably better than something that's consumable, but it's still something that they probably should work on managing well. But yeah, it's about that desperation that is not good to see. It's hard to see somebody be so desperate about something. Like, you can't just take a day off, or you can't just skip that thing for just right now when I need you to, or the situation needs you to. Like,
Right.
you can't. You're hysterical, or you're trapped.
So
like,
yeah,
that's hard to.
your main concern is like what it would manifest to, or how it would look when maybe they have to step away from that thing when they don't have access to it. Like,
Yeah.
that could be the ugly side that maybe you wouldn't or couldn't manage in your life.
Yeah, and it's a lack of freedom, and it's also like, you understand on a psychological level that it's, it's an addiction, but if they're not working to break it, you might also feel like it's a certain level of disrespect, or like a lack of regard for you, because you're trying to encourage them for whatever reason they might need to, in this situation, not do or not have the thing, but because they feel they can't, or they don't want to stop, then it's like they're just like, I don't really care. It can feel like, that person doesn't really feel like, or that person really doesn't care what I think, or whatever, in these situations. So it's like,
Yeah.
it can grow a resentment, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think something you said was really important there in terms of like people who may not think about this, but when it comes to addiction, it is like almost a lack of freedom in a sense, to where you need to be bound, or you need to have access to something. And while we all have needs as humans, when it's manifests stuff like that, you're damn near trapped, and that's why, I think it's safe to say we all do have a grasp of understanding how severe addiction can look like, and what it can, how it can impact a person, even if it is a non-harmful vice. So while there are people out there that could manage it, like we don't know the end of this episode. Maybe by the end of this episode, this woman says they can live with this person, but ultimately, it is a thing that people should be pushing towards the direction of overcoming it with it, or managing it in a less severe way. Oh man. Oh man, I actually had a second part to that question. But I guess we already kind of addressed, like, could you do it? So I guess that kind of, and you guys kind of brought up some examples of like how a person that's dealing with addiction should go about it. Do you have any advice for anybody that is on the opposite side of that situation? So again, if say you do find somebody that you love everything about them, but they do have a vice that they can't let go of, what advice do you give them? If any? Should they be fully accepting of everything, or should they be, maybe looking to create some change within the relationship?
Look elsewhere.
Oh, you think it's just completely, it's not going to be the case?
Dead it.
Damn.
If you don't think, if it's a slight little thing now, don't bother. It's just going to be the one thing that rubs you the wrong way every time they partake in it after the honeymoon phase or whatever they call it is over.
That's actually
so don't,
facts. That's damn near QuestLando quote. The things that you think that you allow or you tolerate will be the same thing you will resent somebody for in the end.
Yep.
I guess real quick, what do you think, Wes?
I think I agree. I didn't really get the full question.
My apologies. What advice would you give to somebody that is signing up and saying that they will be in a relationship or live with somebody that has an addiction like this?
That they flat out don't like.
I don't think anyone. No, they're not also addicted to the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that. That person has to be working toward breaking it.
Gotcha. And then what about you, Ghost? Same thing, or do you have any other advice to give to a person like that?
Same stance as Wes. If they're not working on changing it, then you gotta dip.
Dang. Where's the hope? Where's the hope in you guys' sentiments?
Nope.
Doesn't love always find a way?
Hell
no. A person that can't that can't break their habit for a social convention, like a date or being in public.
Yeah, that's like when you're trying to show your absolute best self. Like,
yeah, and if you can't forego that, if you you're gonna go, you gotta go to a wedding, you gotta go to a funeral, you gotta go to work, and you can't break your habit. Self. Like that's a level of
dishonest self.
If you're doing it in private and you know, and but you don't socialize this thing, then it's one thing. But if you can't have the wherewithal to control yourself in public, that's a whole other level.
Yeah, no, when you're right, you're right. Yeah, that would be wild. Showing up to a funeral, everyone's crying, and then someone
and
just says,
out the tuna,
and then someone just like, "What's that smell?"
Nah,
man.
Imagine a funeral though. That might be even worse.
That's what I'm saying. Like that happened in a funeral.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said wedding. My bad.
Yeah. Ultimately, addiction is a very unfortunate thing that humans experience. I wonder, do other animals even experience addiction? Somebody look that up.
That's a good question.
Probably monkeys.
I'm sure.
I mean, I think you can get any animal drunk or high, but I don't know if they'd actually. They probably get addicted.
Cocaine Bear.
Shoot! All right. That's when you know it's time to move on. Did anyone watch that?
No.
Anyway, I hope this Tuna brother finds his match in life, or deals with his issue, which is the bigger thing. But if nothing else, let's move on to the last joint. I can't tell.